Welcome to another episode of Team Talk. I'm your host, Amy Uzunian, CEO of MoodConnect. And we are here today with Dr. LJ Johnson, who is just an amazing practitioner in the Valley in Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm so glad that that I have the opportunity to meet with her today and to learn more about her team at LJ's Powerhouse, and also to learn more about all of the really wonderful things that you're doing right now in the healthcare space, in the realm of mental health, and how all of these things are intersecting right now, in lots of ways, not just in businesses, but also in our own personal lives. And so I'm really excited to learn more about how you're affecting women's health and all of the wonderful work that you're doing and how you're doing it with your team. So welcome, LJ. How are you feeling today?
Thank you. I'm feeling good. I just got the red carpet introduction, so I'm super pumped now.
I mean, absolutely well deserved. All of the things that I've been seeing you doing over the years. I first met you in Clubhouse, in the audio app Clubhouse, and then further saw more of the really amazing work that you're doing in the world of endometriosis, particularly um, on Instagram and across so many social media platforms. And I'm really thrilled to have the opportunity to meet with you today and to learn more about everything that you're doing. So welcome.
Thank
I
you.
wanted to find out, how did your own journey with, being an expert in endometriosis, how did that start? And, what inspired you to focus on that field?
The Reader's Digest version, the quickest way to answer that is I turned my pain into my passion. It took me 16 years to be properly diagnosed with endometriosis. So that was 16 years of people telling me I was crazy, 16 years of me thinking I was crazy, 16 years of fighting with my body. There's a term in the endometriosis community, they say endo warrior. And so I'll be very honest, when I first started my journey, I was an endo warrior. I was at war with my body every day. I didn't know what was going on with my body. Once I got a proper diagnosis, I had no other options but to go back on birth control or back on pain pills. And then I started to have that transition when I really transitioned my business. And I really woke up one day and I was like, okay, endo warrior sounds cool, right? We're at war with our body. But at the end of the day, who wants to wake up every single morning and be at war? Warring with your body to wake up, war for energy, war to get your bowels moving, right? War with all the things that you have going on, like some of this stuff, TMI, but it affects your health. And I got tired of being at war. I wanted to go from endo warrior to endo conqueror. And so that is where I come from. I come from 16 years of pain and suffering. But then on the other side, I was like, okay, God has blessed me to move me to the other side. And now I need to reach back on that other side and pull people over into the community so that they're not suffering in silence and so that they're not dealing with all the things that I had to deal with alone, right? Without a community, without a proper diagnosis, and without the support and just the education and training that I needed.
God, yeah, I completely understand. And I mean, I've struggled with some of the things that you've, like I've even explained, and not particularly with, the diagnosis of endometriosis, but more with polycystic ovarian syndrome, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And it affects your mental health, and so many other areas. And so, I mean, I know, like you're saying, like, oh, it's TMI, but these are real things that can absolutely affect you. So yeah, so thank you so much for all the work that you've been doing. And in your journey, have you found that you've been able to kind of uh, uh, make a connection between some of areas where where you were falling short in your own life, and that some of the remedies that you had learned about, like how did it change your life though once you came to this kind of place?
How did it change my life when I got the diagnosis, or really
Yeah,
transition into my power of managing?
transition into your power. That's what I
Okay,
meant to
right.
say. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. Transitioning into the power. I'm telling you, I don't even, I'll just say this in the beginning. I'm not coming from the high horse of this is what I learned in school and I'm talking down.
Mhm.
I'm coming from the low horse, the been there, done that horse. Like, these are the things that have gotten me in the driver's seat of my health. I say this all the time on my podcast, wherever I'm at. You want to be in the driver's seat. And many times when you're dealing with endometriosis or any chronic illness, your mental health, your physical health, your financial health, like everything is in turmoil. And so for me, the biggest thing was actually just sitting down and realizing, like, okay, I appreciate conventional medicine. I understand all that they've done for me. But for me to have quality of life, I had to take my power back, right?
Yeah.
LJ's Powerhouse is all about being in your power. And sometimes you got to get a little aggressive and get out there and snatch that power back. And that's what I had to do. I had to stop entrusting everyone around me with everything, right? Yes, I trusted my doctors. I trusted my practitioners. I loved my team. But at the end of the day, I wanted to be able to raise my children. I wanted to get off that bathroom floor and go to work every day. I wanted to be able to run my business and not call my patients every day and tell them I couldn't make it another day. I wanted to have quality of life. I got tired
Right.
all of these things. So I was like, okay, everyone on my team is helping me, but I have to take responsibility. I had to advocate for myself and really take my health back into my hands. And as I took my health back, realizing that I needed a full holistic approach, I needed a team, but the responsibility was truly mine, right? The responsibility was mine. It wasn't Walgreens and the pharmacy medications. It wasn't my doctor, giving me this, that, and the other. I was appreciative to all of that. But somewhere along the way, I got told that I was crazy so many times. I began to not trust my body. I began to not trust my own intuition. And so I had to kind of sit back one day and be like, okay, technically there's no cure. Right. That's like a whole nother conversation, because I'm not quite buying it. There's definitely things we can do to put it into remission. I'm an example of that. A lot of my patients are an example. But I was like, here's the thing. I do not want to, be forever diagnosed with endometriosis, and neither do I want to be defined by it 24/7. And I think once I really set that down and was like, okay, this is my diagnosis, because there was not just one diagnosis, there were several. These are my diagnoses, but I'm a person outside of that, right? And that's where the mental health comes in. You have to really strengthen your mindset, have those things in place so that when you're having those tough days, you have that foundation, right? When you
Yeah.
have those tough days, you have the tools in the toolbox. And so for me, that was the biggest thing. I wanted to go from endo warrior to endo conqueror. I was tired of being at war with my body and every single chronic illness. I was tired of going to the doctors and begging and pleading for someone to listen to me. I was tired of it. I had to really make that transition. And my mental health and mindset was the first step. As unsexy as it is, because everyone's like, tell us the vitamin, tell us the supplement, what's the juice? It's unsexy. It's your mindset. It really is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I've said a lot of times, it's what's in your mind that is going to set you on the course moving forward. So yeah, I agree with you 1000%. Well, I I've always kind of wondered since I met you, like, over a year ago, have you always had that kind of self-starter entrepreneur, like, I'm gonna take my life into my own hands kind of mentality? And like, how did that lend itself into you leading your team? Like, was there something that happened in your own life, that kind of made you feel like I'm, like gave you that feeling like I'm a leader, like I'm an entrepreneur, this is my calling?
Right. I think that's a really great question. I think it's been instilled in me as a child, coming from a strong military family, a very religious family, really strong morals. I had that foundation. Now, academics, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I love to learn. So academics were very easy for me. I graduated high school when I was 15 years old. I went straight to college at 15. I just love to learn. I'm a sponge. I love to help people. And that leadership role has always been something. I mean, I don't even think I've ever even talked about this this. My very first job, legit, as I'm now in the health and like getting you all healthy, baby, I was at McDonald's serving fries and hamburgers and definitely not helping you on your healing journey. I've definitely made a full 360, but that was my humble beginnings into leadership. I was a manager at the age of 16. Like, crazy to think about that. Like, making ice cream cones and serving fries, right? And fake food and the whole, I was buying the Kool-Aid, right? McDonald's was my humblest beginning. But even then, I was born to be a leader. I worked, I did things in my church. I did things in my community. It was really instilled with me. I was also the oldest of 4 children. So I think some of it was kind of thrown on me and I just caught the cross and kept going. But yeah, it's definitely been, my name means honored one. It's just one of those things where I think it's always been my God-given talent. It's just transitioned along the way and looked differently in different parts of my business.
Wonderful. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, wait, just a little note, for you and anybody, listeners also. My first job was actually at Burger King, and and I did not last there very long at all. I was not a manager at all. I think it was like maybe a day or two, and I came home and I had like French fries in my collar, and like I was like, Mom, I don't think I can do this.
She's like, I'm not made for the burger streets.
I don't know, the manager was like, you're too slow. I couldn't put things together. Anyway, um, but amazing, like how we transition and transform the world around us,
Mm-hmm.
like given our like the roots of what we, how we came into the business world, so it's just really amazing. Yeah. So has the work that you've been doing in LJ's Powerhouse as like a doctor contributed to your work, in marketing also? Because I know that you do like, in LJ's Powerhouse, you're doing a lot, you do have a marketing agency.
Yes,
I think.
absolutely. So I have LJ's Powerhouse and then we have Powerhouse Marketing. In all honesty, I didn't go get a marketing degree, but I'm telling you, I learned some learning along the way. I've spent some money, I've done some trainings, I've really educated myself and really learned from a lot of mistakes when it came to social media and different things like that. And to be honest, I didn't really think I was all that great at it until other business owners started coming to me and they're like, hey, who does your graphics? Who's doing your copy? How are you doing this? Even right now, I'm hosting a summit and I've had several of the speakers come to me and they're like, when we're done with this summit, you're going to run a summit for me. I love how you put it together. I love all of that. And I just love helping people grow. I love working with people. My heart and my passion, I love doing marketing for anyone, but especially when it comes to health and wellness and in the medical community, I think there's so many surgeons and different people. Like, we're very cerebral, right? So they're really great in the OR, or they're really great with patients. But when it comes to social media, they're like, what do I do? Right. They're clipping a 5-star review off Google and throwing it up as an image. And I'm like, I got you. Right. There's a little bit different way to go about it. And it really is about reaching people. I think there's so much going on in the medical community, especially when it comes to health and wellness, but it's getting the message out there. Right. It's being able to, do that post on Instagram, make that connection in a podcast. And so I really just help people spread their message and raise more awareness. I don't change who you are. I don't change your brand. I really just elevate you and then push you out there to the masses. Because essentially, if you have a for-profit or a nonprofit, you're offering a service, you're offering something to your community. And essentially, they just need to know what you offer and how can you help them. And that's all that I really do with Powerhouse Marketing.
Wow, awesome. And so like, does some of your health and wellness that you offer to your clients, like, does that sometimes also lend itself to your team? Like, do they sometimes come to you for any health and wellness like resources or advice or anything like that? Like, is there overlap in the marketing and health and wellness for your team?
Absolutely. Most people that work with us on the marketing side didn't just find my marketing company. We've ran into each other at a medical conference. They've listened to my podcast. They've, ran into me on Instagram and they've slid into my DMs and they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" It's always that overlap. I think that's very important. And it's about community. I think what has made us so successful on both ends of our business and anything that I look at doing for, moving forward is it's collaboration over competition. And I think that's easier said than done. Everyone likes to throw out that slogan, but at the end of the day, can you really be humble and be like, "Hey, I need help"? Or can you go to someone and be like, "Hey, I see that you're struggling with your email list. Have you tried this CRM? Have you done this? Have you done that?" It's really just been, like you said, we met on Clubhouse, right? That was a huge shift. Being able, the scamdemic pushed us all home. So then we had to figure everything out. And so I made a lot of connections, and it's really about community and connections. I mean, that is what has put us on the map. That's what's pushing us forward. And that's what's really raising that awareness. I just think when it comes to the medical community and the health and wellness community, I think we have so many resources, but sometimes we're just not going about putting that information out there, or we're in that sales mode, well, we got to sell this, we got to make these numbers, we've got these goals. But the person on the other end that's sitting at home, that's in pain, that's suffering, their mental health is debilitating, they probably want to spend money with you. But if you're just focused on the numbers and the goals, they need to know, what can you do for them, right? What little breadcrumb, what can you do to turn their situation around? I think just sometimes as business owners, we're very driven. We've got these goals. It's September 14th. We've got 16 days to do this. So it's like, this, and it's like, yes, you're in the business to make money, but if you show up for the right reasons and you show up to raise awareness and empower your community, all the commas in the bank account will come.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When you help people,
Mm-hmm.
then, the money will come, right? Absolutely. So, I'm sure you have lots of success stories, and memorable stories, with working with your team and, LJ's Powerhouse. Um, but, do you have maybe, a good success story that you could share with us? Um, about how your team really came together,
Mm-hmm.
to bring up a project, to to like to shining light, or like really coming together to make magic happen together.
You know what? My team, they're making the magic happen right here and right now. We are in the launch of our first virtual audio summit, audio and visual. So we're in the throes right now. It goes live. Registration is open, goes live September 10th or September 25th through October 4th. And they have been amazing. I mean, I have to really, my poor team, they are probably like, "What is Dr. Johnson?" I'm talking about 2 days before the event. It came to me and I'm like, "Oh, we need to change the name. We've already created all the graphics. We've done everything." And I'm like, "We're doing a name change." They got right on it. Name change, graphics, website, done, right? Any other people would have been
Wow.
like, "I think I need to put in my 2 weeks notice. Did she just change the name 2 days before, 48 hours?" Right. And it's just like, as we evolve and grow, and I just felt the need to change it, which was perfect because it's made the shift. It's also made, where we're not getting confused with other people in the endometriosis community, because the way that we're doing it and we're naming it, we've named it EndoUnlock. We're unlocking something different and also using a different technique, a different perspective, a different set of energy. And so when I had that name change, I really do. I mean, if I could hug every employee, I would right now. Like, they showed up big time, because I'm talking about 48 hours before. I'm like, it just came to me. We need to change the name. We need to shift this. We need to do that. And they were like on it. Right. And so, like I said, we're still in it, but registrations are flooding in. The speakers, I think I'm very proud of them as well. The speakers corner that we have is amazing. I've gotten so many speakers that are like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for the graphics. We've done the copy for them." Like, when you work with us, especially on summits, I'm like, "Honey, we roll out the red carpet." That same intro that Amy gave me that put me on the red carpet, that is what we do for our speakers when you work with us. And so it has been an honest blessing. Like, they have came together, they burned the midnight oil, they're doing all the things, and we're seeing that, we're seeing the results. So I'm very, very proud of them.
Oh, wow, wonderful. Well, yeah, I mean, that's an amazing story. And it's
Mm-hmm.
wonderful that you have so much love and appreciation for your team, that they that they came through, and that you all
Absolutely.
stuck through it together. Because, yeah, sometimes things things go, awry, right? Or you have this moment of inspiration, you're like, oh, you know what? This is going to make this way better,
Mhm.
and it's so important that you're all, along um, on a common goal, and
Mhm.
purpose, and you're doing it. It's wonderful. So so great. So you're doing this amazing summit, and it's going on right now
Mhm.
until, like you said, the 25th.
Yeah, so registration is open right now. It's the EndoUnlocked virtual summit. So it's all things endometriosis. A lot of people, there's a lot of misconceptions about endometriosis. So we basically take all those misconceptions, we break them down, and then we empower you and literally flood your toolbox. I like to call it your toolbox. Recently, I heard the she shed. I kind of like that as well, right? But we give you all the tips, all the tools, so that when you're in pain, when you're suffering, when you're chasing a diagnosis, when you're not able to live your best life, you're able to grab that toolbox and get in the driver's seat of your health.
Fantastic. And are there some names maybe that you want to share that are going to be speaking at this event, or like some topics that you're going to be going over? Because I mean, all right, we'll just because some people might not even really have any kind of awareness of what endometriosis is. Other people I
Mm-hmm.
know have lots of misconceptions. So if you can just give a little bit of like an idea of like what this is and what it's not.
Right, right. Yeah,
like
let's
yeah.
break it on down, right? So
Yeah.
I'll define endometriosis in a bit, but the Endometriosis Summit is all things holistic health. We've got Dr. Jess, we've got naturopaths, we've got MDs, NDs, we've got a lot of different health coaches, pelvic physical therapists. So the reason we brought together such a wide array is because you need a team, right? And as I say all this, I'm like, we needed a couple more mental health experts. We're definitely going to be launching more summits along the way. We'll be doing 3 or 4 a year. So this is our very first one. So endometriosis, let's talk about it, because some of you are like, I thought it was a period problem. Why do you have this? Why do you have that? It's anything but that. Endometriosis is chronic systemic inflammation throughout the entire body. It is uterine-like tissue found outside of the uterus. And that's the biggest thing. Most people are like, oh, it's just a uterus problem. It's just a period issue. It's anything but that. Uterine-like tissue found outside of the uterus, meaning anything outside of the uterus is fair games. It can be on your bladder, your bowel, in your lungs, in your thoracic area, in your diaphragm. It can be anywhere throughout your body. These lesions inflame themselves. They cause a lot of pain. They cause a lot of hormone imbalances. They also produce their own hormones. And then to make it even the more interesting, with autoimmune like factors. So when you talk about it that way and get the real definition of what endometriosis is, that's wreaking havoc through your entire body. So that is why we have a panel that's talking about pelvic health, pelvic health, prolapse, hysterectomies. What I will say is we do discuss hysterectomies, but hysterectomy is not a cure for endometriosis. Yet some of us, were given that misconception, and people have chose to have a hysterectomy thinking if they yank out all the parts, it's going to fix endometriosis. And so it's really just raising the awareness. Like, I'm giving myself chills just talking about it, because it's going to be a huge shift for the endometriosis community, because there's a lot of misconceptions. And there's also the thing of where I think what's happened in the endo community is we just get a lot of outreach and we get a lot of publicity in the month of March, because that's Endometriosis Awareness Month. But this is a chronic illness that people are dealing with 24/7, 365, right? Nothing against the movie star that has endo, nothing against the person that, has all the commas in their bank account and they got all the publicity. But there's everyday people that are suffering that have never even heard. They're like, Supacala what? I'm like, yes, endometriosis, right? It's a totally different game-changing disease for them. So it's raising awareness. It's letting people know that period pain and debilitating, cycles and all of these female issues, they're really not, normal. We've normalized them, but that's not how it's supposed to be. And then giving them the tools so that they can advocate for themselves. Maybe you've got debilitating periods and maybe it is endometriosis. Maybe you have debilitating periods and it's fibroids, or there's something else going on in your womb wellness area. So it's really a lot of education, and then bringing in that motivation and then those tools so that you can advocate and get the care that you need.
Yeah, there has been more and more research and understanding now, as I understand, with how we make the connection of mental health
Mhm.
with, our physical health. I was talking with a therapist the other day, and she said that she had a patient who would complain about like having more depression
Mhm.
when he would have a flare of like psoriasis.
Okay.
And then she realized that there was that there was a depression like link connection to to psoriasis, and that's actually like kind of a symptom of that.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I really I'm very excited about your summit as well. I did register for it, and I'm excited to check out like everything that you're gonna be doing. um and also, I think that in the future, it'd be so wonderful to also see that kind of connection, mental health, and how endometriosis is affecting women, in so many ways. But yeah,
Mhm.
I'm so excited about all of the work that you're doing, LJ, and also your it's Endo Summit,
Mhm.
yes.
Yes, Endo Unlocked.
And
Absolutely.
oh, and all right, Unlocked. Yes.
Yes.
Unlocked. It's amazing. Yeah, I like that. It kind of just rolls off the tongue there,
That's
like
why we did that name change 2 days before.
wonderful. Yeah, and it also gives you the sense of like freedom, right?
Mhm.
Like you're feeling more free in your body,
Absolutely.
and free to talk about like any of the things that are going on,
Mhm.
um because there is there is a lot of shame sometimes that women can feel about
Mhm.
their bodies and some of these very natural things that are happening to ourselves, right? And so
Absolutely.
it's wonderful that you're giving a voice to so many. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to be editing out these
No, you're
things, but
fine.
um thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today, and for doing this podcast on Team Talk. And yeah, for our listeners, if you want to sign up, for this amazing summit, I will have all of that information and the URL in our liner notes. But is there an easy URL that people can go to
Yeah.
sign up?
Absolutely. If you want to join us, you can go to the holisticendoexpert.com summit/summit, or I think you can just put in the holistic endo expert. It'll pull us right up and you can register. Registration is absolutely open. It's totally free. 10 days of amazing content. If you choose to upgrade and get the VIP right now, it is $47. That way you have those recordings, right? So sometimes you're going to need it to fall back on. So if you need to get that VIP special,
Wow.
this is the time to do it right now.
What a deal. Only $47 for
Yeah.
for the VIP treatment, and you get like all the recordings, and I mean I bet you
Mhm.
probably also get a chance to like connect a little bit with the speakers. I'm sure,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, that is a really amazing deal for the entire summit package. Wow. That sounds really exciting, and definitely something that I'm gonna, that I'm gonna do. And everyone else should as well. So thank you so much for sharing all of this, LJ. Um, and beyond the summit, are there any other like projects or things that we should know about, or where can we find you?
Yeah, our summit's going to be our last big thing for the end of the year. We've got some fun stuff rolling out in 2024. You can find me at ljspowerhouse.org. I spend a lot of time on Instagram under the Holistic Endo Expert. And then I also have my own podcast, which is the Holistic Endo Expert Podcast. We talk everything endometriosis. But remember, endometriosis is not a period problem. So we're covering everything as far as mental health, physical health, how to advocate for yourself, some of the misconceptions, and then really tips and tricks to put in the toolbox or the she shed so that you can live your best life.
Wonderful. Well, this has been a fantastic conversation, LJ, and I'm looking forward to learning about all of the really wonderful things that you're doing, and and seeing what you're doing in this amazing EndoUnlocked summit. Well, it's really, really great to have you on our show today, and I'm looking forward to even speaking with you again and moving on to the future. And working with you also as a wellness practitioner in MoodConnect, which I want to also mention, yes, LJ is absolutely available for, to serve our clients as well in MoodConnect. So definitely, check her out and get in touch with her. We'll